Welcome in to week 5 of the BDE Fantasy League podcast.
Woo!
I'm Devin.
I'm Gifford.
And this week we have our matchups from last week. We have our booms, our busts, our power rankings, our predictions, and last, our bitching hour.
But you know what they say, 2 L's make a W.
Yeah, no, we'll go over that. It was a rough week for both of us, but hey, we're having fun.
I know, we can laugh about it.
Last week's matchups saw me versus Zach, and unfortunately, I lost that one by 1.5, 122 to 124.
Rough.
Against the 9th place team in this league, and it's humbling. I am sad, but we're gonna dig out of this. We will get better.
How does the quicksand feel, buddy?
It's rough because I'm just continuing to go downhill, but I am hopeful because my team will bounce back. Next, we had Brittany versus Apple.
And I predicted it last week. Apple, she steamrolled you like she was supposed to. And you are on the 2-game slid. And now the 2 slumping teams are about to face each other next week. So this is getting juicy. This is getting desperate. And This is almost like an episode of Lost. Are you going to find your way out of the island, or are you going to just die?
It's very possible you might just die. You're in 6th right now, but I don't know if you'll make the playoffs at this point. It's starting to look rough.
Oof.
2 weeks in a row. Just bad. I also said that Brittany was going to win, and that's where we're at.
Right.
Next, we had our 2 luckiest teams, Scott versus Tommy, and we saw who was luckier because Scott scored almost 140 points.
Came through with the prediction win for me, so I'll take it.
And Tommy, you let me down. You let me down big time. Now we know who's better, and that's Scott.
If you just paid attention to players on your bench, you would have won. But
absolutely. Any of those running backs, if you would have plugged them in. But you made the right choices, I think, based on matchup. It was just a hard loss. After that, we have Tatani versus Gifford. And another really close loss. Less than 3 points decided this game. 146 to 143. And it's hard to swallow that pill, right?
It's very hard, but you know what? You needed that win, Tatani. I didn't need it. So you're welcome.
Okay. Way to turn that one. Because, I mean, you're right, because 143 is nothing to scoff at. That's a really good week. It's still
that's what I call a healthy loss right there.
A healthy loss. I like that.
You know when DK got carted off the field and took that healthy shit? That was my week. It was a healthy shit.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, last matchup was Eric versus Omar. And honestly, Eric put on a decent show. I liked it. Almost 125. But again, Omar just continues to beat his opponents. He got 132 and just continues to show why he's the best in this league.
Eric is just going to have to get on both knees and pray that his team has a couple more performances like that left in the tank, or else it's not looking good. And I don't want to jinx myself. I play you this week, Eric, so we'll see.
Get that done next week. I think you can do it. So that brings our prediction totals to 13-7 all. Both of us are tied, 13-7. It's a clean slate.
As a weekly topic at this point, we're doing busts. And I'm going first. Scary Terry had 2 catches for 15 yards and 2.5 points.
He's looking scary.
In the opposite direction.
Yeah, actually scary. It's Halloween time and he's frightening.
We're gonna get to this during bitching hour, but Wentz, I got a lot to say about you. We'll just keep it at that for now.
I like that. My team, I have been on this guy's train for all year. And honestly, I'm not jumping off. He had one rough game. Everybody does it. Jalen Hurts, he kind of let me down this week.
What?
Throwing that pick 6 immediately. I knew I was going to lose this week, and it happened. I just felt the sting right after that, and I didn't want to listen to anything else football the rest of the day. But he ended with 204 yards, 38 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and like I said, that awful pick 6. Yeah.
Happens to the best of them. We're going to go with Omar. Amari Cooper had 1 catch for 9 yards. I don't know what the game plan was. Chubb
Apparently not get it to him.
Chubb got his touches, but they lost to the Falcons. The Browns lost to the Falcons, and Brissett did not look that well. So,
yeah. They're hurting for Deshaun to get back, and I'm sure his 25 allegations against him are hurting to get him on the field as well.
I just want to say money talks.
Money does talk.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Leading from Hurts, we have his wide receiver, Devontae Smith, on Tatani's team. He got 3.2 points on 3 receptions for 17 yards. After I talked about him last week for a boom player, he had 30 points last week, and this week he just completely dropped the ball.
It's a pendulum swing.
It's not what I want. It's not what he wants. I'm sure he'll bounce back. That's all right.
Even with that off week, you still got the win, so I wouldn't complain much.
Exactly.
Next, we're going to go with probably a top 3 most disappointing player of the year. I'm going to go with Najee Harris on Tommy's team. We're going 18 carries for 74 yards. I calculated his carries and rushing yards for the year. He is averaging 3.48 rushes per attempt this season. For a young stud and fresh legs, I don't know. I don't know if it's the Steelers' offensive line. I don't know if it's Trubisky. I don't know if it's Mike Tomlin's play calling, but it is not working out, and Najee is looking like an absolute bust this season.
We'll see. When Pickett gets his start, we'll see if Najee can bounce back. Another arguably top 5 disappointment player of the year, Jonathan Taylor.
Whew.
He is on Zach's team. I know he got hurt, but 20 rushes. He had 20 opportunities on the ground, and he only got 42 yards. And on top of that, he also fumbled. This is not the top pick in the fantasy league. He just hasn't been himself, and he might not even play that next week. So
yes, that 20 carries for 42 yards. No bueno. Next, we're going to go. It's not a lot to complain about this team, but Brittany Chase, partially, again, Burrow's fault. We said this last week, but 4 catches for 81 yards and no touchdown. You were complaining in the group chat the whole game, Burrow's not getting him the ball. And it's true. I don't know what it is, but T. Higgins was preferred that game. So, again, not worried about it. Jamar, like I said last week, is going to have his 30, 40-point games. Just a couple off weeks in a row, but you just got to wait for that bust, because when that bust comes, it's like, busting the nut.
Right. He won't stay on this bust list.
No.
He will be on the other bust
He will
list.
be impregnating your team.
All right.
Yeah.
We talked about Najee. We're going to talk about another Steeler, Deontay Johnson, this week. Had 3.2 points, 2 receptions for 11 yards, and also 11 rushing yards. But the biggest mistake in this game for him was a deflected interception.
Possibly costed the game. It was a close game. And,
it was rough.
The Jets marched down and got that touchdown there at the end. Breece Hall. Rough start with the Steelers, 1-3. Not accustomed to the Steelers starting 1-3.
Not great.
But Scott, how do you feel about Deontay Johnson? You're big on him this year.
That was your boy during the draft. You were excited to get him.
I mean, he's looking like a wide receiver 3 out there. Not acceptable.
Nope.
Not acceptable.
I don't like it.
Freiermuth is looking better than him at this point. So, so our next bust player is going to be Michael Pittman. For your second round pick, 3 catches for 31 yards, no tutty.
It's just disappointments because Matt Ryan has been throwing the ball all over the place. He has top 5 yards in the league, passing yards.
Matt Ryan had 25 points this week, I think. And when Mo Alley Cox is getting 2 touchdowns, then Michael Pittman isn't. That's a problem. I guess the Tennessee Titans, not a great defense. Should have been a soft spot for Michael Pittman this week. It might have swung your week around if, some touchdowns went the other way. Yeah. But Michael Pittman, that's your second round pick. You want him to get over 10 to 12 every week. That's a consistent big boy target. He should be getting the ball. And it just did not happen. 4.6 points. Unacceptable.
You were excited to draft him, and this is what he's given you. So think long and hard about the people you let into your life, right, Apple? All right, finally, we have Eric. And this is the first time that we have a defense on this list. Because, your team did well. You scored more than you have this year, so that was a good job. But your defense the LA Rams. They only scored 1 point this week for you.
And when you sign big transactions over the summer, you sign Bobby Wagner, and you get other pieces to fill in that defense, and there's this big hype. Ramsey isn't performing. Donald is doing his thing, but he's only one man, you know.
They looked like middle schoolers out there last week.
They looked hopeless. Rough. They let Jeff Wilson run all over them. They let Debo put his nutsack on their necks.
Right on them.
And it was just very, very disappointing. Maybe it's because Stafford kept him on the field for too long, throwing all those interceptions and fumbling the ball a lot. But
you let Jimmy G score 24 on you. Boom time! My first boom player this week is Josh Jacobs. Incredible.
Surprising.
I never talk about this guy because he's so below the radar that I don't care about him. He's usually not here, which is why I'm excited to talk about him. 34 points this week against Denver. Denver's supposed to be this high-flying offense, but they have not shown it. They are losing to teams they should beat. Seahawks. He went 28 for 144 and 2 on the ground, and then 5 for 31 just to put a little nail in the coffin. I really liked his performance, and I hope he continues it, honestly.
He literally carried the Raiders to their first win. Derek Carr did not have a throwing touchdown, so Jacobs carried them to the win. And also, special consideration on Omar's bench, TJ Hawkinson getting 40 points.
40 points
for a tight end. Incredible. You're not going to start him over Kelsey, but Jared Goff, most improved player of the year? I don't know.
You have a flex spot, so your tight end, TJ Hawkinson, can go in your flex. Just think about it.
For sure. And my boom player of the week, we're going back to you, Omar. We've talked a lot of shit, and we're going to eat our words right now. The one and only Miles Booby Sanders. Yes, his nickname is Booby.
Booby.
30.6 points. He had 27 carries for 134 yards and 2 tutties, 2 catches for 22 yards, and a very stormy and rainy Philadelphia day.
Yep.
He carried the Eagles to win. Not Jalen Hurts.
That's where all the points went. We talked about Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts and the bus players.
No A.J. Brown this week.
This is where all the points went.
Miles Sanders up the ass. And Miles Sanders literally carried the Eagles to win to remain undefeated. Very impressed. And to start off the season, couldn't ask more from what we thought was a bust and forgettable player. So
we let him drop pretty far, and he has technically been inconsistent, but hey, 30 points, I'll take it.
He's making us pay the price.
Absolutely.
Right now. Power rankings.
Power rankings.
Starting at number 10, Eric. Most impressive week of the season so far.
125.
125. Worrying me a little bit. Every team needs to get their first win. I play you this week, so good riddance to you. But
take him down, Eric.
I almost want you to beat me, Eric. I want you to get that first win. But
hear that, Eric? Beat him off.
Pause. But we're gonna keep him. We're gonna keep you at number 10 for now, Eric. Your team looked very much improved. Even DK off the bench looked great. He has 7 catches for 150 yards. That's a great sign. Mm-hmm. You're able to move players around, whether it's your flex. Olave looked great. Still hopes for your team. Your team is breathing. There's a heartbeat there. So Fournette needs to pick it up, and A.J. Dillon. Those 2 guys need to pick it up for you to be somewhat of a contender of not getting paintballs in the ass.
Yep, A.J. Dillon has been probably the most disappointing player because you kept him. That was your keeper this year. He's been okay.
Doesn't hold a candle to Scott keeping Elijah Moore.
Yeah, no, bad move, Scott. Sorry. Next, at number 9, we have Zach, who just beat me. But he only won by 1.5 points. So
a win is a win. Zach, eat the.
Okay. Yeah, no. So I still don't like this team too much. I'm really disappointed in myself, in my players.
In your management?
In my management, absolutely. We'll have some internal discussions this week.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't like that. J.K. Dobbins scoring 20 points in the first quarter really just tore my heart out. So I hope you're happy, Zach. Unfortunately, JT is down right now. He might not be in the next game. but has he really been contributing at all? I wouldn't say so.
I mean, when you got Devin single carry, you're good.
Apparently,
You're fine.
He's been really good.
You're just fine. And at number 8, he's not used to this. It's this man right here.
8. Can you believe that?
Ocho.
I just don't think that I should be here. Yes, I make the list, but still, this Jalen hurts me.
I get it. I think you are reaching a point of senile, and I think you need to snap out of it because you're becoming an addict of your own self, your own ego. You're becoming a narcissist.
And becoming. Yeah, no, I know. Unfortunately. But I'm getting Godwin back. He looks really good coming back. He had 10 targets in his first game from injury.
You desperately need him right now.
I like him. Sutton, after just a couple weeks of okay, he gets a really easy schedule to finish out the year. Well, finish out. It's week 5.
Well, I'm not going to bail you out here. We're going to rewind 2 episodes when you said, Gabe Davis, wide receiver 1, 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row where he was hurt.
Duds. It's not even decent games. Duds.
Yeah. Gabe Davis will turn it around. I'm not worried about it. Just like the rest of my team. I have faith still. Unfortunately, it's blind faith, but
the only bright light that you can see through that blindness is Eckler. Finally.
Eckler, 30 points.
It's finally showing what he did for me last year, and that's what Eckler's supposed to do. 2-3 touchdowns every fucking game.
Damn, that's high expectations, but I like that. If he could do that, he would... Oh, man, that would be incredible. But I don't expect it every week. I'm happy with his performance. Mark Andrews, though, has been up and down. Very up and down. And it's not what I want. Lamar's looking too good for Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Lamar doesn't need anybody. He just needs Lamar.
Yep. And then Drake London, he is going to have up and down weeks because Mariota is his quarterback. So
yes.
Not too worried about that. Brian Robinson's back to practicing, so I'm excited for that. Pickens gets Pickett this week, I hope. Cooks actually looked okay. And then the other Texan that I have is Dameon Pierce, who...
finally popped off.
Just incredible. I loved watching it because he's on my team, and that's what I want for my players. At number 7, I have Tatani. Tatani has been an enigma this year. He has not been good. He is 1-3 right now. I mean, same as me, so it's not a big deal. But he loses in the most dramatic fashions. He gets 76 points one week, and then he comes back and beats this guy with 146 points. It's a weird way to spend the year. So, what do you think about your opponent who beat you?
He deserves to be number 7 this week. He is out of the dead lead bottom 3, which you have just now entered, and he got that hard-fought victory over me. I can't say anything about it. I tried my best, and he just scratched it out. So I can't say. I got to give it to him.
He had the most points in the league this week, so
yeah.
Congratulations.
If I played 90% of the league, I would have won this week.
Yep. And it looks like Keenan Allen's coming back, so he should be getting better.
I tried to get Keenan off him this morning. He wouldn't budge. So.
Everybody should have tried to get Keenan because he's been out and he's just as good.
Well, he tried to get James Robinson off of me, and I didn't want to give up James Robinson, so I...
However, I don't know if you're going to continue this upward trajectory because you have Williams, and I don't think that he's going to stay at this level. Yes, he did incredible this week because he was playing the Seahawks and because Swift was out.
But hey, fuck the playoffs. If you could get not Swift, but Jamal to get you 2 or 3 wins, get yourself away from that paintball gun.
Yeah. And that's what you can hope for.
Anything to get away from the paintball gun at this point.
Yeah. And Debo came back this week and he impressed.
Yeah, after playing some pillow monsters on Monday night who missed 7 tackles on him. Yeah. Number 6, we're going with Tommy, and he's stuck in the middle of the packs. We are not liking this team.
No. I dropped you because you should be where I am at 1-3. I'm not impressed with your team. They haven't been going off the way they should. Like we said before, this is the land of the mid running backs, and they just keep on proving it. You don't know which one to start in any particular week because all of them could go off. None of them can go off. You just can't pick.
I think at this point we could say his most consistent running back for the year has been Clyde.
Clyde.
I think Clyde has been the most consistent running back, and he hasn't done bad. He's playing like Clyde is supposed to play, like the hype, coming out of college, and
yeah. He was a top 10 pick in his first year, and it's wild to me.
But basically at this point, Kupp is taking up 2 receiving slots. He's covering Juju's ass right now because Kirk is holding his own as a wide receiver 3, but another receiver, Juju's not it. Juju is turning into Miles Sanders 2.0 at the wide receiver slot that we thought Miles Sanders was. Stafford is not it this year.
Neither is Russ, though. Your backup quarterback is Russell Wilson, and he hasn't been performing either.
Maybe you go back on the waiver wire. We saw that move where you got Goff and then dropped him. Maybe you stick with Goff for a little bit. Maybe.
There are a few quarterbacks out there. I mean, we're saying in 2022, go get Geno.
And I saw your lineup this week. You're starting Jacoby Myers. I'm just not liking. I'm not liking your team, man. I think Najee's on a downward spiral. I think the Steelers are terrible this year. I think James Conner has always been a mid running back, barely outside the top 10 or 12 in the league. Zeke is washed. I said this from the very fucking beginning of the year. I said Zeke is done. I said he's done. Pollard had a terrible week this week too. I could have said him if I started him as a bust player of the week, but
it's just the truth. He's just not there.
He's not there.
I would say with 5 wide receivers on this team, if 2 of them are on the Patriots, that's how you know that your wide receiver core is
with a third string quarterback because Hoyer got hurt last game.
Yep.
You got Zapp in there. Mac Jones is out for a couple weeks with a high ankle sprain, which is undetected on how many weeks he's actually going to be out.
Those can be devastating.
So you're rolling with Bailey Zapp thrown to those boys? I don't know. He had 96 passing yards against the Packers. I don't like your team right now.
Me neither.
Your team is not going to make the playoffs this year.
That's a bold prediction because right now he started hot. But I like that prediction because I need a place to get into the playoffs. So thank you, Tommy, for being mid. At number 5, we have Apple. This week he changed his name to Digging a Pit. I like that.
Which he is.
Yeah, he sure is. He is on a downward spiral. We mentioned that before, but he is
on a 21 Savage spiral right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not upward, it's downward.
It's very down. Because Pittman, like we said, he is busting all over the place, just in a bad way.
Yes.
Monty is out still. Njoku doesn't like to play up to where he could. The week that he did boom, he was on the waiver wire because you dropped him, and then you went and picked him back up again. It's just funny to me.
I'm starting to question why. I guess Dubs is solid.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to say, you haven't started Jahan Dotson one game this year, and it's kind of baffling to me because he's getting a consistent 12 to 15 points. I'm seeing it.
He was, but now he looks like he might be hurt. He's questionable.
So you wasted all those points. I'm a Terry owner here. I've been seeing Dotson take his targets away, so very surprising you never played him this year.
Yep.
I will say this, the positive for this week for you, Diggs is playing the horrid Pittsburgh Steelers, and Kamara is playing the worst defense in the league, arguably. So
yeah, no, Kamara up against the Seahawks, that's going to be rough, and I hate saying that because you are playing me. So I'm not excited to see that. I hope personally that Swift takes it easy. I hope that he doesn't play this week just to rest up.
He's not going to play until after week 6 bye.
He has a bye next week, so I think they'll
I
do
think
the
Jamal
smart
is
thing.
playing this week.
I think so.
But you just need the toddler to keep giving you those 22 to 25 points every week. Always from behind, too. Just have him have a bad first half and let him, wiggle his way in the second half like those little 2-inch steps he does on him.
And then your bench running backs, Akers, he's just not good this year.
Cam Akers should be on the waiver wire right now.
Same with Carter. Brees is stepping up, and it doesn't look good for Carter.
And I've never liked Gibby. Even when he was a stud, Gibby was on the Clyde, Josh Jacobs, Najee.
The irrelevant level.
Gibby's always been on that level, and Gallup is with Cooper Rush, and Cooper is targeting CD. So your team is very. You need your team to get healthy.
They're sliding, and it looks like you know it based on your name.
And this week we got 2 mudslides coming toward each other.
Yep, we're playing each other, so that'll be a good game. Good luck, Apple. At number 4, we have Brittany. Her name was Evans Essence, which is really good. It's really creative. Way to go.
Yep.
At QB, Allen, solid, always. Evans with 28 points this week. Wild.
After
a suspension. So good for him coming back. And he helped Tom Brady look just immaculate. So cool. Thanks for that.
Right.
Jamar Chase has been just fine last week. AJ Brown, he was non-existent, but it was cold. It was rainy, so I'm not.
He's still a beast. AJ Brown's still a beast.
AJ Brown still got it. Cook was on your bench, but I think you made the right choice. All of your running backs scored about 9 to 10 points this week.
Projected to be on your bench again this week. I saw your lineups.
If he's fully healthy, I think you play him.
I think it's your first round pick. I just don't think you bench your studs, but it's your team. So,
other than that, Trevor Lawrence really stunk up your bench. So I hope you're happy with that one.
It was a top 3 defense. I'm not too concerned about Trevor.
Yeah.
So number 3 is me. Somehow, some way, I'm still top 3 in the rankings, and I do believe I'm still a top 3 team in the league. It's just my record is kind of dubious if you look at the numbers.
He's 2-2, but his 2 losses have come on weeks that he scored over 140 points.
And my 1 win came when I scored 108. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But my team, I'm not panicking. Dotson going down, ironically, helps me. It's going to give Terry a little bit more attention. Hopefully Michael Thomas comes back this week. I need him to eat against us, the Seahawks.
Yep.
Chubb has been my best player this year. I'm not concerned about Chubb. He's going to get his 15 to 20 points.
And CMC last week did really well.
He did
over
great.
20 points.
He did, but I looked at the schedule, and it's going to hit a rough patch. He's facing the Niners, Tampa Bay, and another tough team after that. And if he's banged up, that concerns me a little bit, but that's CMC, Superman. So if he's on the field, I believe in him.
And then Kittle, he is on blocking duty, so he's not going to be scoring a lot of points.
So maybe I got to put the Fry Man back in there, maybe.
Farmouth.
And then it's going to be a revenge game. Had a bad week against the Eagles, but James Robinson is going to eat against the Houston Texans. I have no doubts about that.
So what you're saying is you're not going to start Penny after his massive game this week?
No, because nobody runs well against the Saints.
Yeah, no, I get that, I guess, but he might deserve a chance somewhere. Maybe you send him over to a different team.
I'd like to hear the offers.
I mean, maybe Tommy wants another mid running back.
Maybe we could go mid for mid here.
I like that idea, but yeah. And then, as you mentioned to me before we started the podcast, you have DeAndre Hopkins coming back in a couple weeks, and
after this week, next week,
I just don't think that he's going to do well. So that's why you're staying at 3. You're not there yet.
I don't need him to do well. If DeAndre can give me 10 to 12 points at flex position, smiling ear to ear. That's all I need. That's all I need from you, D-Hop.
All right. And at number 2, we have Palmer. I hardly know her. Scott.
A little perverted there.
A little bit.
But the name.
It's a good name.
It's getting more creative. It's better than feeling thirsty.
We're not going to let that die.
No.
Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, Thielen right there. Just
here we have Henry and Barkley, who have been putting it together, and it's nice.
I did say Jared Goff is comeback player of the year. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be the comeback player of the year. He's playing out of his mind. When we were doing boom players, I thought about Saquon Barkley. He had another 150 plus yard game. So
they're both doing really well. So that's really good for you. Deontay Johnson, like I said, was your bust this week.
Disappointment.
He's just not looking great, and you have to be, sweating a little bit that Pickens is going to come in and take that wide receiver role.
But it's almost in a sense where Amon-Ra has taken Justin Jefferson's or Cooper Kupp's role, where he's covering 2 receivers at this point. Amon-Ra is scoring 20 points a week whenever he's healthy.
Yep, you have to hope that he stays healthy the rest of the way, though.
So
we'll see.
still a very weak bench. I will say that. When the bye weeks hit, we will see if you are going to continue that success. But
I mean, Wentz, Walker, Moore, and Palmer.
I don't like any of those guys. Elijah's a stud. I know Elijah's a stud, but it's his quarterback play. And I don't think Ken Walker is gonna. He'll pop off maybe in next year or the year after, but it's not this year.
He'll have a couple games this year, I'm sure, but
it's not this year. Not this year.
This bench isn't great. I do like Brees, but again, it's the Jets.
Your meat and potatoes is big boy Derrick Henry and Saquon.
Yep. And our number one team, yet again,
back to back.
Michael Malone, Omar.
Not scoring 160, so it's not the daunting 150, 160 we're used to seeing, but
it's still solid.
It's a win.
You still got another win. Lamar Jackson did not score his usual 30 points, but you didn't need him to because I mean, the rest of your team did solid.
Maybe it was a fluke going against Eric, but when Javonte gets hurt, Cooper doesn't do anything, and you still win.
That's nice. It's a good feeling. It has to be a good feeling.
It's gotta be a good feeling getting away with these wins when your players don't do shit sometimes. Yep. So
I'm really happy that you gave me a little bit of leeway because we both saw when Javonte Williams went down. I told you, hey, check out your trades. See if anybody has an active trade for Javonte Williams. And of course, the only one that was there was me. So I'm really happy that you didn't click that accept button right then because you could have just tanked my entire season. So thanks for not doing that.
I will throw this out there. With Zach Wilson at the helm, this is the first time I'm ever paying attention to the Jets. With Zach Wilson at quarterback, it looks like Corey Davis is the wide receiver one.
Really? He was that good this week?
Corey Davis had, I think, 7 receptions for 84 yards and touchdown. Don't quote me on that, but I know he had a touchdown in a solid game. So it seems like he is one of Zach Wilson's favorite targets. So maybe, we said this last week, but maybe give up on Allen Robinson finally. It's very exhausting seeing him in your lineup on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to complain because that's your choice. But you got some... Or even Hawkinson. Is Hawkinson's 40-point game going to open?
Hawkinson over Lazard. I mean, you can put him in your flex, like I said earlier.
Yeah. But
maybe check that out.
Maybe, yeah. You just got to get Allen Robinson out of your starting lineup.
Next up is our Week 5 predictions, and the first one is a doozy, as you mentioned earlier, because both of us are sliding. It's me versus Apple. What do you think?
Every time I've picked you, you've let me down.
I know, man.
And
just say it.
I'm riding with you one more week.
Wow.
Because I think injuries are too much to overcome on Apple's team.
I like that. I like that prediction.
I'm not liking the trajectory when it goes from 91 to 103, barely. Devin's at least scoring 120, man.
Yeah, I have to agree. 2 weeks in a row.
Of course you have to agree.
2 weeks in a row, Apple has been the lowest scoring team in the league. And that includes the last week where 3 people scored in the 90s. You still scored the fewest points in the league. So I gotta say that I'm going to win this one.
I can't ignore that, Apple. It's a big sore spot right there.
Sorry, buddy.
The next game is going to be Scott versus Omar, 2 powerhouses at the moment.
Yep. 4-0 Scott versus 3-1 Omar. However, like we said in the power rankings, Omar is the better team right now. I truly believe that, and I think that Omar will win this one, but it will not surprise me if Scott yet again gets lucky and continues his just winning ways, you know?
I've been rolling with Scott the past 2 or 3 weeks, and it's paid off in my predictions, and I am gonna not continue rolling. I think I do not like your quarterback situation. This is not a dig at Scott, but I do not like your quarterback situation at the moment. I do not like Kirk, and I do not like Carson Wentz in either situation.
Yeah.
And Amon-Ra is coming off an injury, and that does not vote well in history when players are coming off an injury. No. So with those 2 positions being your vital positions, I'm going to go with Omar. With Lamar coming off a terrible game, I think he's going to pop off. The only concern is Javante being hurt, but he hasn't needed a Javante the whole season. So,
No, he is not.
With Booby scoring 30 points a game and Travis Kelce getting 15 to 20,
Yeah.
I think Omar edges this one out.
I hope he edges, but not too long. So we're both going with Omar. In the next one, we have Tommy versus Brittany. And I know I said it last week, Tommy keeps on getting lucky. But I think last week also, he ended his luck. It is Brittany's time to shine in this one. She will continue her winning ways, and she will stomp Tommy down.
I think I've been rolling pretty heavy with Brittany too, excluding the first week where I picked Eric. But I'm gonna go with Brittany as well. Again, going back with Scott and Tommy have very similar issues when it comes to quarterback position. I do not trust Matt Stafford, and I do not at this point of his career. I guess we hyped him up before the season started, but I don't trust Russell anymore. He had a great performance, but is that going to be a weekly now? Is this just a once every 2-3 weeks? I don't trust that offense. Javante is going to make it even harder with him going down for Russell to get things going.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. It looks like Najee's not picking it up. It looks like you're going to have to start. Clyde needs to start. And I don't see Jacob scoring 34 points again during the season. So
I don't either. I think that it's just not a good look for
Juju hasn't scored a touchdown yet this season. I think he might have gone over 10 once.
Yeah.
I think Brittany just has a better all-around team. She just needs to start Dalvin Cook. That's what she needs to do.
Yeah. So we're both going with Brittany?
Yeah.
All right. Next one. We have you versus Eric. Gifford versus Eric.
I think I'm 3-2 after this week. I think my matchup is favorable just because I think, with like I mentioned before, Dotson going down, I think Terry gets some extra targets, and I'm salivating at the fact that the San Francisco defense gets to get their hands on Baker Mayfield. I think they're going to force a lot of turnovers. I think there's going to be defensive touchdowns in that game, and I think that's going to swing the momentum. Mm-hmm. And I think Michael Thomas is going to come back. I think I'm just going to get a solid win here and get over 500.
Yeah, unfortunately, as much as I want Eric to get his first win,
I do too, just not against me.
Yeah, I still think that he's going to lose to Gifford. It would be foolish of me to pick Eric over Gifford, who has been scoring 140 plus every week. I just don't see Eric putting on a good enough show to take down Gifford. Finally, we have Zach versus Tatani.
They're coming off 2 wins over us.
They're both riding high. That's for damn sure.
I think I'm going to go with Zach here. And the only reason I'm going with Zach is because I think Waddle's going to get healthy. I think Tyreek's going to get back. No, I'm changing my mind. I'm going with Tatani.
Come on, man. I was going with Tatani.
I'm going with Tatani because I just realized that Tua is not going to play this week.
No, dang it.
So I just realized that Tua is not playing this week. Sorry, Zach. So that's going to be a big sore. I don't think Teddy Two Gloves is that caliber. I think there's a drop off there.
I mean, he showed that Hill is still the guy. Like, he scored 25 points last week.
But it's not a dynamic
I don't think that
Tua was feeding both of them.
Yeah.
And with Jonathan Taylor also being hurt, I did not take that into consideration.
Yeah.
I think Tatani is 2-3 after this week.
That's a big turnaround. I agree. I think Tatani's going to win it, unfortunately. All the reason that he just listed.
And I think Keenan coming back is going to have something to do with it, too.
Well, I don't know if Keenan's going to do great. But, yeah, Tatani, I think you're winning. So, that looks like all of the games we agreed on. So, There you go. Bitching hour!
Woo, woo!
Up first, we have, well, like I said before, losing. It's just not a fun time. But it makes it a little bit worse. No, it makes it a lot worse when you lose to the 2 of the worst teams in the league by less than 5 points put together. To lose by that little, it really stings. It's not fun.
It's not fun, and when you lose by that little, it really makes you feel like you waste those big performances from those guys, like Eckler having 30 or Jettis having 28. It's just kind of like, well, there's a week where that performance that was truly earned just gets wasted.
It would have been nice.
I'm a bitch about my team here.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to go off on Carson Wentz. I don't know what it is. I don't watch the Commanders, okay, and I don't want to.
There's a
Boy,
reason.
big contract. Why is Terry not getting the ball? Wentz, can I sit down with you? Like, did Terry call you the C word? Did he call you? I don't know. I'm just, what is it? Scary Terry has so much talent. I just don't understand. It's very, like, confusing to me. And I can't bench him. I got nobody else to bench him for. So I'm going to continue riding with him. Hopefully Dotson being out will open your eyes, because you're playing like you're Stevie Wonder right now.
I hope that Brian Robinson coming back will open things up, especially for Terry. Even though I say a lot, I do hope that you succeed. I want to see you do well. So
If you guys watched the game last night, I was in the group chat saying Fred Warner dropped a pick six. He did. He had a pick six. I almost won that game. Kittle had a toe out of bounds. That would have gave me a touchdown. It even notified me on my phone. I was like, "Oh, I'm within one." And then now I was back to 10-point deficit. But I fought. It was a fight. I'm gonna bitch about Matt Stafford. He was my quarterback last year. Fuck him. It was the final drive. Okay, they stopped the Niners from scoring any more points. Garoppolo was fucking around or whatever. And on the last drive, you throw the pass and you don't go for the end zone on the last play of the game. Where's the will to win? Where's the will to, look competitive? That's the most coward shit I've honestly seen in an NFL game in a very long time.
yeah, we all know you're gonna lose, but
you want to put up more points, even if it comes to my detriment. Even if you guys score there, at least it gives me a chance to win the game. A last-second interception there at the end zone, it would have given me a chance. But to run the ball, and you're down.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a good look for him. So it's
and you're 90% of your offense is throwing. Now you want to run, Sean McVay, you're a bitch.
oh okay, yeah,
Yes.
No, I agree. I think that Stafford should have gone for it. I didn't even watch the game, and I'm upset. So
Yeah.
that one was rough. My next little complaint is it's a real life one, because after I make these, I get so excited, and then I put them out, and, well, Brittany likes to talk about herself. She wants to be mentioned in these so badly, yet she doesn't have anything to complain about. Her team is so good. So why do you want to be mentioned so bad, huh? Is that the narcissism? Is the real narcissist you? The real narcissist is the friends we made along the way. Man. So maybe... Just maybe be happy that you weren't mentioned in the bitching hour.
This is not going to go down well. Skipping over that, I'm not going to say anything about that. But you two have at it. I'm going to bitch at myself again. I should have known against the sorry-ass Detroit Lions. I should have started Rashad Penny over James Robinson. I knew deep down my gut he was going to have a hard time against the Eagles, but having a hot streak, I stuck with him, and I paid the price. I would have won this week if I started Penny, but just a bad read there. And to the rest of the league, I would have beat all y'all if I didn't play Tatani this week, so everyone. Fuck y'all. Literally anybody else.
Yep.
That's just how the apple falls off the tree sometimes, but it's a rough one. It's happened to me before, and it seems like whenever I put up these big performances, a lot of the time I come off with short end of the stick. A lot of my wins, if we go back in history, is my shitty weeks where I'm holding on to 5 to 7 point wins. After week one, after dominating week one, these high scoring affairs aren't going in my favor. So maybe I should shy away from gunfights from now on. Maybe you should trade away your best players so that you can score less. I'm a bitch about this too. If people want CMC, I put it in the chat. CMC is available.
Apparently not for good trades, because I did send you a good trade, but yet you shut me down almost immediately, which is why I called you a coward in the chat.
I should have screenshotted that trade, and you guys would have seen why I declined that trade so quickly.
It was a solid trade, and anyone in their right mind should have made it, and you can't prove me wrong because you don't have the trade anymore.
Do you actually remember that trade?
It was good. That's... Next we have Scott. I'm just going to continue until you actually get your comeuppance, because your team should not be winning this much. They're not as good as you may be thinking, because you are riding this cloud above the rest of the league, 4-0. Your time is coming. I don't know if it'll be this week. I don't know if it'll be next week, but I do hope that it's soon.
I do too, because if you end up in another situation where you're the Chanel of this year, I'm gonna be sick to my stomach.
I don't think he could ever be the Chanel of this league. The only person that could be is Zach. However, he is not doing well, so he will not be the Chanel this year. Sorry, Zach, but yeah, no, it's not looking good for you.
Well, after just beating you, he's doing just fine.
Fuck off. Yeah, so our last section of the podcast is our weekly contest. Last week was Bench Warmer, the highest scoring bench player, and that was TJ Hawkinson with 39.9 points. And that was Omar. Omar, you got your second contest win in a row. Hopefully you can keep it going for your sake, because you're not winning the league.
He's a quarter of the way there to making his money back, so.
Yeah, he's on a good roll, so that's good. Week 5, we have photo finish with the team with the closest margin of victory. So whoever wins the closest game gets that $5. Good luck to everybody in the league.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to week 5 of the BDE Fantasy League podcast. I'm really happy that everybody's tuning in every week. So, yeah, I'll see you next week.
And remember that most elephants weigh less than a blue whale's tongue.
Holy shit.
See you week 6.